On a back street in Tokyo's Nihonbashi district, between a wholesale seafood store and a jewelry store, stands a simple monument. The sign says, "This is the former home of William Adams, the first Englishman to reach Japan and the inspiration for one of the year's outstanding television series." Although it states that Adams provided valuable services in international affairs, the memorial is a surprisingly subtle tribute to a man who, more than 400 years after his death, remains an unbroken thread running through Anglo-Japanese relations, and whose image on screen continues to cause controversy. This month's release of the Disney Plus series Shōgun has reignited interest in a Kentish seafarer whose talents were boundless: shipbuilding, artillery, mathematics, geography, trade negotiations and diplomacy, and, most notably, the personal skills that made him a friend and confidant advisor to the feudal warlord Tokugawa Ieyasu. Adams was born in Gillingham in 1564 and was the only Englishman on board the Dutch merchant ship De Lift when it drifted into Uesugi Bay in southwest Japan in April 1600. Adams and 23 Dutchmen were the only survivors of a fleet of 5 ships and 500 men that had sailed from Rotterdam almost 2 years earlier. Of the 23 men, only 9, including Adams, were strong enough to go ashore. Local Jesuit missionaries tried to execute Adams for piracy, but he escaped this fate and became Japan's first foreign samurai, establishing a link between this distant, mysterious archipelago and a homeland he would never see again. His story inspired the best-selling novel James Clavell's 1975 classic Shōgun, in which Adams' name was changed to John Blackthorne, and a 1980 miniseries starring Richard Chamberlain. These early retellings of Adams' extraordinary rise through the ranks of a belligerent Japan largely isolated from the rest of the world have captivated generations of readers and viewers. But their creators have also been accused, unfairly by some, of perpetuating stereotypes that have informed other encounters with Japan stories, including The Last Samurai and Lost in Translation. The launch of the 10-episode series has sparked debate about what the story of the Blue-Eyed Samurai can teach us about assimilation and respect in an era of cultural struggle. Starring Japanese actor Hiroyuki Sanada as Warlord Yoshi Toranaga, Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorne, and Anna Sawai as Lady Tota Mariko. The drama won positive reviews for its Japanese cast, meticulous production design, and its creators' attempt to accurately depict unspeakable violence and the sophistication of 17th century Japan. "They took great care of it," said film and TV critic Yuki Sarawadari. "Some people compare it to Game of Thrones, and I think they're right. It contains shocking violence, death, betrayal, manipulation." But the image of the Navigator has divided members of the William Adams Club, formed in Tokyo in 2015 by admirers of Adams and his role in Anglo-Japanese relations. Group member and Japanese resident Chris Ull said the first episode left him furious. "This is damaging to the memory of William Adams," he said, adding that he was not the only club member who felt disappointed. In his account of his arrival in Uesugi, in modern-day Oda Prefecture, Adams recounts the kindness shown to him and the other crew members by the locals. But in the series, their rival is the catalyst for a violent confrontation. "I found the first episode really offensive to the Japanese," Wells said. "The residents of Uesugi took these sailors off the boat and treated them. This is a typical Hollywood representation of the Japanese people." Adams eventually became known in his new home as Miura-Enjin, combining the name of the peninsula near Tokyo, where he had been awarded the estate, and the Japanese word for pilot. In 2020, on the 400th anniversary of his death, the William Adams Club unveiled a sculpture of their hero on the grounds of the British Embassy. 3 years after his remains were discovered in Hirado, Nagasaki Prefecture, Japanese school children will learn about the exploits of Miura-Enjin and his role in uniting two island nations on opposite sides of the world. This has to be one of the greatest examples of assimilation into the upper echelons of a foreign culture, said Hiromi Rogers, author of Enjin, A Life and Times of Samurai William Adams. There is the scale of his rise in Japanese society, from a hapless prisoner sentenced to crucifixion, to an advisor to the Shōgun and a high-ranking samurai. Hatamoto, with an estate and 90 servants. Nothing like this has happened since, especially in Japan, which is not the easiest culture to assimilate. You can put yourself at a disadvantage and die, or blend in with your surroundings.